Tonight, we're going to cover air traffic control scenarios, trends, and lessons learned. All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about our agenda tonight. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about what the WINGS program is. We'll have some introductions. We'll talk about the mission statement of what the ranking and chain program is. We'll have the main presentation tonight, open forum question and answers. And tonight, please, folks, join in, participate, chat, ask Matt a lot of questions because he's given up a lot of time to be here for us. So let's make sure that we give him a good abusing tonight. And then we'll have the closing comments. We'll talk about the next event and then how we can obtain a WINGS credit. Don't let me forget to give you guys a WINGS code. Don't let me forget to give you guys a WINGS code so I can make sure that I allocate WINGS credit appropriately to everybody who participates tonight. So we are participating in a FAST team, FAA safety team seminar, and my program manager out of the San Antonio FISDO is Inspector Ryan Newman. And if you guys have any questions about the FAST team, you can email me at the email that's provided for registration, and we'll be at the end of the presentation, or you can contact Mr. Newman at that email address right there. To join the FAST team or be a part of these webinars and seminars and get distribution, go ahead and log into that URL that you see there, faasafety.gov, create a profile, and you guys can get notifications of webinars and seminars throughout your area, which is really cool. And then also you can get WINGS credit for attending these events, and you can work your way up the ladder of WINGS points and credits and accolades, and it's a great program. I enjoy participating in it. If anybody's got any questions about it, feel free to get with me offline. All right. Most of you guys have heard of me and have been part of the group. There's some new folks that have joined in tonight, and I want to introduce myself. My name is Jeremy Walters. I'm the host of this webinar, and I'm assisted by Mr. Paul, which I'll introduce in just a moment. I'm an ATP airplane, working on an ATP helicopter. I'm a professional pilot. I've flown Part 121, Part 135, military. I flew in the U.S. Army as an Apache longbow pilot. And I'm kind of a unique breed. My take on my aviation career is that I want to experience what I can in aviation as a pilot to enable myself to be a better flight instructor. I consider myself a professional flight instructor. That's what my true passion is. I'm a Gold Seal flight instructor. I love to teach, love to mentor, love to put on these webinars. I'm also a major in the United States Army Reserves, and I have a YouTube channel called All American Aviation. Those of you who haven't heard of the channel, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, because this was where this webinar will be uploaded to YouTube in a couple of days. And there's some other content on there as well. It's safety, education, and adventure related. So I'm assisted by Mr. Paul Nadal. Paul is also a pilot, and he likes to participate in donating his services towards the Angel Flight program. He works for VMware. Paul is also a U.S. Navy veteran. Tonight we'll have guest speaker Matt Wells. Matt has been with us before. This is his second rodeo, and Matt is a pilot and he's an air traffic controller out at Fort Worth, Egypt. He's a instrument-rated commercial pilot. He's also one of the producers on Taking Off and In the Hangar, which is a YouTube channel that you guys should check out. check out his channel, also the Flying Controller, because he's got some pretty good content as well.
And more coming.
All right, so we're going to talk about what this program is. What is breaking the chain? Well, we're talking about the accident chain. Well, what is the accident chain? The accident chain is a series of events from reception of the mission of a flight to an incident or an accident. There is no one link or one error or one problem on that pathway that causes the incident or the accident. And the goal is to replace or remove one of the links in the chain to prevent the accident from occurring. So as you can see, the accident chain doesn't actually begin at pre-flight of the aircraft. The accident chain begins at receipt of the mission. We find ourselves from one side of the slide to the other, where we have a beautiful airplane that's sitting on its ramp, and one of it in a demise condition. So our goal, as I mentioned before, break one of those chains, or break one of the links in the chain, and we eliminate the accident. So how do we do that? How do we execute? These are some of the things, but not limited to, how we execute breaking a link in a chain. We can break multiple links in a chain. It's a risk mitigating process, and we do that by educating ourselves through research. We're going to do a little bit of that tonight by talking about trends and lessons learned, planning, that's thinking ahead, thinking how we can encounter some threats or issues to our mission, training by continuously getting in the books and staying up to par on our aeronautical knowledge, being self-aware of our human factors flaws. Everybody's got some sort of hazardous attitude. We've got to antidote those hazardous attitudes. We also need to be aware of the other typical personality traits, such as arrogance, complacency, distractions. We want to think like a professional aviator. What does it mean to think like a professional aviator? We want to always do the right thing when nobody's watching. We want to adhere to standards, SOPs, because it is in everybody's interest, yourself, the passengers that you fly with, the other pilots that you share the national airspace system with, and folks on the ground who can be jeopardized by poor decisions. So do the right thing when nobody is watching, and then maintaining that break in the chain mindset. What is that? That is a mindset of vigilance. With that being said, at this point in time, we're going to hand off the presentation to Matt. Matt, you have the flight controls.
Flight controls. I have the flight controls. There we go. I was muted. You're supposed to respond back with, I have the flight controls, Jeremy. Come on. Aren't you a CFI? There we go. Freaking crud.
And do you have your Mountain Dew? Do you have your Mountain Dew ready to go?
I have a little bit left, but if I need assistance, I have a 8-year-old at my disposal. Okay.
I got to get coffee refill. All right, you have it.
All righty. So again, welcome everybody. I'm happy to be here for the second time and talking about some stuff that I've seen recently. Maybe we could all walk away and learn from something. From a lot of this stuff is not made up. I literally had a list that I wrote down when I was last time at work, and I compiled a pretty decent list for only working like an hour or two. And I compiled all that, threw in some scenarios, and you guys, I do plan to call on participants. So whether it's chat, well, if it's chat, let me get my freaking, there we go. So respond in the chat, or if Paul and or Jeremy can allow for a video response on a limited basis, I'm going to throw you guys in the driver's seat. I know you can't go control in a tower, but we're going to make it happen. I want to see what you guys would do. Okay, the screen is sharing, yeah? Okay. Okay. Read words. I'll actually read them myself. Disclaimer. The words and opinions of Matt Wells are his own and do not reflect the views, may not reflect the views of the FAA or any other agency. Keep that in mind. I represent myself. Okay. Yeah, he already did an itinerary, but I threw it into my slide because I had to try to one-up him, but it's not going to work apparently. Quick intro. I'll let you guys know, all about me. What if scenarios, trending pilot actions, and yes. Okay. Lessons learned by controllers not named Matt Wells. And then we'll go into a Q&A and then contact information and other stuff. The Q&A is technically at the end, but we can do a Q&A at the end. I prefer if you just stop me in my tracks and ask me a question, because then you'll forget it and then you won't learn it. Just my opinion. All right, moving on. Zoom. Okay. So like I said, my initials are MW, Matt Wells. I've been controlling airplanes in a tower for 10 years at 4 different facilities, actually 3. But on the screen it shows, where I've been. I did 6.5 years in the Air Force at Tyndall, controlling F-22s, F-35s, 15s, F-4s, a lot of in-flight emergencies on those. 16s, anything that went in and out of there, and that was awesome. I did 6 months at Al Dhafar Air Base over in Abu Dhabi, but I was just a liaison, so I just sat back and made sure that the locals didn't kill anyone, which happened on occasion. Then after I got out of the Air Force, I did about 9 to 10 months, I think. It was at Houston Executive over in at TME, west of West Houston. No radar there. Be careful flying in there. And then I've been at Meacham for 3 years, tower controller, obviously. So all these, I'm tower only. So if you guys have radar questions and or center questions, I will take the center questions, but I have a basic understanding. So if you ask them, I may not have the answer, but I can refer you to somebody or something that could get you the answer. Never worked radar in my life. I prefer my windows so I can see the airplanes and, rock the wings and, yeah, okay. Soon to be Oshkosh controller, hopefully, when it happens next year, hopefully. On the pilot side of things, about 395 hours. Got my high performance complex. Got my PPL in October of 14, IFR July 16. Commercial pilot last year in 19. CFI, waiting on the VA to get off their butts, and that's in progress. Still studying, though. Could always learn. Now you tell me about Houston Executive. Well, now you know. All right, I'm going to learn a lot of things. All right, so we're going to start off with these what-if scenarios. So I want you guys to read these, and I'm going to try to put them into context for you. I specifically brought these scenarios up because these happened to me in the last week. So I want you guys to imagine that you're in the tower, which after this COVID crap is done, we can do tower tours for sure. I'm always open for that. You're in the tower, you're working local control, and which is tower. So you're controlling all the airplanes in the airspace, and you have 10 airplanes on frequency. You have 6 of them in the air, 4 of them on the ground, 4 on the ground waiting for departure, 3 are in the pattern, 1's taken off, 1's on final, 1's on a wide downwind. I probably am starting to lose you guys already, but that's okay. We'll go through it. Now, obviously a controller's job is to what? Sequence and separate, first come, first served basis, and we got to do it safely. So no need to put an airplane in front of another one, obviously. So you have these oh, by the way, for these scenarios, I should probably mention it. I work at Meacham, so if you guys want to pull an airport diagram up on your computer or look at the airspace, it may be helpful and beneficial to you. Since that's where I work, that's what I base it off of. But you can use these scenarios anywhere, almost. Anyways, so you have all these airplanes moving around, and you have several call up for departure. Let's say you have your pattern traffic taken care of, and your IFR traffic is sequenced by approach control. You're the tower guy. You got 1 on final. You got 1 taking off, and you got 1 on the downwind, which is sequenced, so you don't have to worry about it. And then you have 2 call up. What would you do? Now, I'm glancing over here because that's for my chat. I got 2 screens, so I'm trying to break my neck over here. Let's see. Let 1 go and make 1 wait. Okay. Clear the Cessna for takeoff. No delay. No, I wouldn't worry. If I wanted to see it, that gets your charts out. Yeah, that's true. That's not part of the question, but that's fine. First pilot sounds quick. Okay. No, I'm seriously interested in your responses. So if you want to type them out, or I know that they got everyone muted for now, so you'll just have to type them for now. But I am interested to read what you guys would do. This actually happened. This scenario actually happened to me, and I'll tell you what I did here in a second. I just want to try to get as many people to respond if I can. Forget about fats. So much the better. Fast. Oh, how close are the 6 planes in the air? Let 2 go. Okay. So not any wrong answers. How close are the 6 planes in the air? Well, let's say I have 3 on this side of the airport doing circles because they're in the pattern, so they're sequenced, no worried. The other 3 in the air are, one's taken off, so he's out and gone. One of them is on 4-mile final, and one of them is on the downwind. So again, it's what would you do? I'd probably take up chain smoking. Okay. If you're at ADS, tell them that that's just to wait for 45 minutes. Okay, so lots of good answers. Get a margarita, yes. Lots of good answers. Here's what happened in this scenario, and I'll talk about this on the trending page as well. What's up with the 3 in the pattern? The 3 in the pattern is essentially what is one of those things that the FAA throws on the test to make you think about something else. I mean, as a controller, you have that going on, so you have to watch over there too. But they're all sequenced. The main issue is you have Cessnas or whatever, Cherokee, whatever you want, calling ready for departure, and you have one taking off and one on final. Do you get them both? I had one person say get them both out. None with an emergency. No emergencies. I had one person say that they would get them both out. I haven't had, and one person said hold them, Addison, wait all day. Yeah, okay. So, just think about what you guys would do in that scenario. There's infinite answers to this. 1 go now, extend downwind, call base. Okay. Can't clear 2 Cessnas for takeoff. Well, if they're a flight, you can. Well, so remember that the IFR traffic on final and in the downwind is sequenced, and I can't move them. I can't do anything to them except tell maybe one of them to slow down. And the guy that's taken off, he's already gone. So what would you guys do? Do you think it would be beneficial for me to just say, hey, get up and go? Get one out, then evaluate, always evaluate after each instruction. Okay? Can't clear 2 Cessnas? Okay, yeah, I read that one. Okay, so this scenario actually happened. Lots of good answers, and like I said, there's no wrong answer. It's just like when you're flying an airplane. I'm gonna flip this scenario in a second, so keep it in mind. It depends on how fast the 4-mile final is. If he is a slow, in this scenario, it was a Phenom, and he was doing about 140. Now, I will add that most of the jets that come in here, if they have jet engines on them, even the citations, those guys will still come screaming in at 140, 150 knots plus. I've even had them turning on final at 190 knots over the ground because that's all I can see on the radar. Here's what I did. This scenario happened to me. It didn't bother me, of course. You'll find some controllers that don't have the same skill. One Cessna was cleared for takeoff right behind the Phenom. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, what about wake turbulence? What about it? A Phenom is a small plus, is what we call it. Or there's letters for it now. But it's not like it's a heavy or anything. If it was a heavy or a Boeing 737, even a Boeing 737, at the approach into the runway, we don't have any wake turbulence. So there's no issue there. Runway separation, do you really think a Cessna is going to catch a jet? Don't answer that. All right, so we're talking about 172s and then jets departing in the middle. Sorry, I talk fast like an ATC. I will slow down. I'm so sorry. I do that sometimes. Here's what I did. I cleared one Cessna for takeoff right after the jet took off. I had the Phenom on final coming in, and essentially it's like you can put your three fingers like here, and then one of them's going, one of them's coming off, and this is what ends up happening. Cool. Worked out just fine. The Cessna, he got out, and he turned out of the way. The Phenom landed, and I think behind him was a Falcon. Now if you are Brian and the Grumman, yeah. Brian actually came by my field. Anyways, I'll stay on that topic here. The Cessna got out, and the one guy landed, and then I got the other one out shortly behind him. Okay. So let's flip this real quick, since most of you guys are pilots, I hope. Let's say that you are in one of those Cessnas, and that Phenom is screaming down final, and one of them's cleared for takeoff, and I got one on 3 or 4 mile final. You know, you can see him, you know, as PIC, it's your decision, you know, to break the chain. Just, should I go out on the runway? Should I be rushed? And I'm over here as a controller trying to keep airplanes moving. And I say, Cessna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, traffic on a 3 mile final, 16 clear for immediate takeoff. I know I speak kind of quick, but in that scenario, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a get out there and go. What would you guys do? Oh, no. Okay. Just one person that says no. All right. Unable. Tower unable. If I'm really ready, then go. I don't like to rush. I call when I am ready. My goal is to be 100% ready to take off. Okay. Clear. What's this for takeoff? And then the other phenom land was clear. Yeah, that's what happened, Chris. Okay, so Brandon makes a point. My goal is to be 100% ready for immediate departure, takeoff at the hold short. Remember, it's departure unless it's conjunction with a clearance, then it's takeoff. If I'm ready, no problem. Otherwise, no. Okay, so here's the lessons learned essentially for both controller, if you will, and I've done this multiple times. So it's 6 or 1 hit or miss if it works or not. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. I have a few pilots in my field. They fly experimentals. They don't joke around. They say I'm ready for immediate. They go at the intersections and they are gone. So in this case, you're, you know, in a 172, a little bit slower. You know, what would you do? So you get a lot of people that say, if I'm ready, no problem. Otherwise, no. At my stage in training, I would say unable, but maybe if I'm more experienced. Okay, cool. I'm glad that I'm getting some logical answers here. How many of you would say, I'm clear for takeoff 16, and then you get out there and you take your sweet time going down the runway? How many of you would do that? Anybody? No? Maybe? No? Okay. Won't? Okay. Rolling turn and push the coils to it. Depends on where the runway is. You're 100 feet from the center line. Once cleared, time to go. Wide open throttle, no way. Okay, so that's perfect. I'm getting a lot of different answers for the whole thing. There's no lollygagging on the runway. I like that one. Okay, cool. So again, so that's what you guys would do. Now, if you tell me to hurry them up, that means get out of here. So some people don't like to be rushed. Obviously, I knew that. And some people are ready to get up and go. They have no time to play. Here's what you can take away from this. That if you are told for immediate, let's say there was an immediate departure. If you're told for immediate and you say no, what happens to you? Do you sit there and wait, or does Tower get kind of mad because you screwed up the flow? They send you to the end of the line. Hi, your number lasts. These things could happen. And if you're not ready to get out and go, that's fine. And another reason this scenario comes up, does immediate mean the same as no delay? Immediate actually is the correct phraseology, Marisa. No delay actually does not exist that I'm aware of. So all this no delay, 16 clear for takeoff, I mean, I do it sometimes, but the immediate is what I should be saying if I really need to say it. So that's a phraseology issue, which we can go into later if you'd like. Where was I at? Yeah, what prompts you guys to say stop or go? Is it you look out the window and you determine that? And this is all fine and dandy. Again, there's no wrong answers in this scenario. I'm just trying to flip it on you guys to see what you guys would do and to explain what would happen. So if I would have gone back and said, hold short, and I have 3 miles, 4 miles, I'm essentially just holding you guys on the ground. Not a lot of us own our airplanes, so we're paying for Hobbs time. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and got it cut. So that can be not fun at sometimes. It's hot. It's Texas. It's in the summer. You guys got your doors and your windows open until I clear you, and then you close them all and you get up and go. So that's another reason why I'm kind of pushed to try to get airplanes off into the air as soon as I possibly can. Obviously, if I have other traffic, then I'm got to wait. What about shunting Cessna traffic to 17? How's it going for you? So I'll answer the first question. What about shunting traffic? Okay, so at Meacham, since like I said, I use Meacham, we have 1.6. Here, I'll try to do this reverse because the camera, like that. There we go. No, it's like that. 1.6, and then 1.7 is a small runway over here. The airplanes are not taxied to 1.7 because of the way the taxiways, the layout is of the airport. All the airplanes are taxied to 1.6 for departure. Very rarely will they taxi over to 1.7 because that just creates more problems with runway incursions because you have to cross the runway to get to 1.7. We'll get to a scenario like that too. So that would not be possible in that case. Plus, if I have my pattern traffic, and again, it varies by controller, if the pattern's full over there, I'm not going to put you on that runway. I'm going to get you off on the main runway. That's the runway you were taxied to. Anyways, how does the controller feel about someone doing an unexpected go-around? I feel fine, especially in this scenario. You guys are flying the airplanes. I'm sitting in the tower in the air conditioning, drinking my Mountain Dew. Your guys' safety, the pilot's safety, is more important than me, essentially. I'll work it. If you guys go around, that's fine. You know, I love sending people around. I mean, what I meant to say is I don't mind go-arounds. If you guys go around for any reason, whether you determine you don't have enough distance or whatever, let's flip that. Always expect to go around. I try to anticipate, so I have to pay the doors when they close. Always, so I do expect to go arounds, and I always have my plan A, plan B, and plan C for that out. Let's flip this scenario one more way, and then we'll move to the next one. Let's assume that you are in that phenom spot. You're on a 4-mile final, and you hear me clear the Cessna for takeoff. You're flying a jet at 150 plus knots, and I'm clearing a slow Cessna for takeoff in front of you. What are your thoughts on that? You're going to reach the runway in about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes after you slow it down and get it all dirty, gear down and everything. Okay, wake turbulence. What about it? Always a decision. They always trust ATC from their experience. So Marisa trusts ATC. Don't do that in every case, but I think she's just mentioning it because it's me. They have more info. The airplane's coming in. So that's pretty much slow down, wake turbulence, pucker up. Am I hard IFR? I'll be expecting to go missed. No, this is a VFR scenario. We're not going into a lot of IFR stuff. We can do that on the next presentation. Don't go around. You'll be up the Cessna's tailpipe. Okay, cool. That was watching like a hawk. Okay, cool. So at what point, I don't think I'd be concerned. Okay, great. I appreciate all this participation. We didn't get a lot of this in the last one. Let me ask you another question. These are what-if scenarios. What if you're flying the Phenom, I clear a Cessna for takeoff in front of you, you drop your gear, you drop your flaps, you're setting up to land, and hopefully your landing checklist is done by then. And you see the Cessna get out on the runway, and you see him kind of move slow. At what point do you determine if you're going to go around? Archer on final, 172 short. Archer equipped sidestep. Yep. Check. 1 mile final. Okay. 1 mile or so. 200 feet earlier, better. Okay. Okay. So not 2/3 down the runway in ground effect. Okay. All right. That's a little bit farther. So err on the side of caution when it's apparent risk is unacceptable. Okay, so when it's apparent risk, what does that mean, Ernie? What does apparent risk to you mean? Does that mean you're short final and the Cessna is still sitting there, or the Cessna rotated, or any of those things? Does it, I'm looking for the participation and feedback on where do you guys think the line should be? So my windshield, the minute they stop moving, the former. Okay. All right, so let's assume that you're flying that Phenom and you 1 mile final. That Cessna just rotated. He's 2,000 feet down the runway. What then? The line should be when someone is about to get hurt. If he's on the runway, I'm going missed. Okay, what if he is rotated? He's rotated, he's about 3,000 feet down the runway. And you're like, all right, he's off. I'm going to land this baby, and we're going to go get some Chipotle and Mountain Dew. Ask the controller for their POV if you need help. Interesting question. How so? What do you guys think? I want to see him clear the runway. I forgot the question. If I'd land if he rotated in and I was still a mile out. Okay. Okay, the question, Chris, was if you're flying a Phenom, 120, 140 knots, you're about a mile final, that Cessna just rotates, do you think you're going to have adequate spacing? If he's over the runway, I'd go around. Land gear up so the rules short. I don't know the line, but it's okay. Okay, good. So it seems you guys, your aeronautical decision making is on point. Perfect. ATC has runway separation. Between a Phenom and a Cessna, it's 6,000 feet. Between two Cessnas, it's 3,000 feet. That's all I need. So that's legal and it's safe for me, but it may not be safe for you. Now, I've had many a pilot go around because they thought they didn't have runway separation, and in the end, they ended up causing a bigger problem. Of course, I worked it because I expected it. So the guy that took off went runway heading, and the guy that went around, who was right on his tail, offset to the left. So what if you're doing all this, and then I send you around? Which side of the runway you're going to go on? You're going to go on the left side, the right side? You're just going to climb and hope for the best? What if the Cessna has an aborted takeoff? Yeah, what if that? You think the tower controller would be quick enough to send you around? Just saying. Nope. The aborted takeoff would be my biggest concern. Opposite of the pattern, if it's left traffic, fly the right side of the runway. Okay, so Lenny T, let me tell you about that one. I wouldn't trust the controller that the controller saw it. Okay, let's assume that the controller didn't see it. At Meacham, if you're coming down 1.6, 1.7's on the right, and I do also have helicopters working sometimes in between the runways. Offsetting to the right side of runway may not be the safest thing for you. But if you guys come back and you tell the controller that you're going around as you're doing it or before, that's really helpful. Not just go around and not say anything, because we'll see it anyways. But you say going around, and I'll come back and I'll say go around left side of runway if I need to, traffic departing, and then I'll have you do whatever I need to. It doesn't matter whether it's your IFR, VFR, any of that crud. It doesn't matter when you guys come that close and I have control over you. It essentially turns into a situation that I can do what I need to. So I can spin the IFR, have them go around, do lots of things, etc., etc. My decision is largely based on my passengers. The aircraft may be capable of maneuvers that passengers would be uncomfortable. Should I need to go around late? Early decision may be, yeah, okay. Aviate, navigate, communicate. If your hands are full, the radio call will have to wait. Exactly. I like that response. I once had an abort situation because I was hot, high, and heavy. Well, don't be high, but I think I understand what you're saying, and didn't have adequate performance to continue. Okay, cool. All right, great answers. We're just throwing out what ifs here. There's not necessarily any wrong answer. I'm just throwing out what I would do if we were met with this situation. Okay. Are there any further questions on that scenario that kind of tumbled down? I know I wrote the initial one on the slide, but I did mean to throw it down in 3 or 4 different angles. You know, just to see so pilots can get a bigger picture of things, essentially what the controller sees. And I gotta watch out for it. Nothing? So the answer is 3,000 clearance. For what? What do you mean, Curtis? Are you talking about runway separation? I probably need a... Are you talking about runway separation? Yeah, that helps. Runway separation between... Okay, when a Cessna is on the runway, it's Bernoulli, not macaroni. Macaroni sounds really good right about now. Okay, so between a Phenom and a Cessna on the runway, 6,000 feet, because that Phenom is a twin engine, and it's I'm gonna guess they're more than 12.5, but it has two twin jet engines. So in the .65, which is the air traffic FAR aim, that's where it has us our rules written out. So between a jet and between a single engine Cessna, it's 6,000 feet of runway separation. If you guys are flying in the air, it's just, and one of you is VFR, it's don't touch that guy. It's that simple. Matt, do you have your own 3,000, 6,000? 3,000 if there was two Cessnas. Two single-engine pistons, less than 12.5, it'd be 3,000. It'd be a single and a multi, 4,500. And then every other multi that's a jet is considered a Cat 3 at 6,000 feet. Matt, do you have your own minimums as a controller, or are you bound to follow FAA rules? Well, that's a trick question. No, I'm just kidding. The rules in the book stand, but it's how far you can stretch. So I have runway separation. That runway separation is going to be followed. I'm not a rule breaker essentially in that aspect or any other aspect. The only time that we can essentially throw the rules out the window is if someone comes back in there at emergency. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean throw the rules out the window per se, but it means that most rules, if they don't help, then they're hurting, and I can throw them away. I can move people around. I can send people around. I can do what I need to meet the needs of that emergency, just like a pilot can if he needs to declare. The rule book goes out the window along with your broken engine because your engine out. You know what I mean? So I do follow the rules of the FAA because that's who I work for, so I'm not going to break those rules. But minimums, is there a specific minimums to what you're talking about, like runway separation? Thinking adding the minimums and not adding to the minimums. If you mean adding to the minimums, no. I use 3,000 feet, and I'm pretty good at making sure that pilots have that 3,000 feet in that scenario. Or if a jet's landing, the Cessna's in Meacham, the Cessna has to be off the departure end. I'm pretty good about spacing things to get about that separation. And if I don't have it, then someone's going around or someone's not taking off. You know, if I don't have it, it's not worth my job. Y'all are going to be safe. Rounding separations up if things are too busy. If things are busy, actually the separations go down to what the book says: 3,000 feet for two Cessnas, 4,500 for twins, 6,000 for anything involving a jet. And that's just an abbreviation. The actual rule in the book says something a little bit different, which I don't have the book in front of me. But that's an abbreviation. So if things are busy and I'm trying to push 10 essentially, I mean, if it's just departures and it's a bunch of Cessna 172s, clear for takeoff, clear for takeoff, clear for takeoff, one right after the other. The second the first one rolls, clear for takeoff. By the time, this is 95% of pilots, by the time you actually read it back and you get out on the runway, that guy's going to be rotated and gone, and I'll have my 3,000 feet. Obviously that varies. You know, some people like to wait until they actually have the 3,000 feet, but I use what's called anticipated separation. So that guy's rolling and he's rotating, and boom, I have my 3,000 feet, you know, and as soon as he hits that, as soon as I have my 3,000 feet, the other guy starts rolling. That's all I need. It's good to go. If that first one aborts in that case, then I can go to the second one, cancel takeoff clearance, and hold your position. You know, but whenever I do like squeeze plays, if you will, I still make sure I have plan A, plan B, and C with my minimum separation. The squeeze plays don't denote a lack of safety. They denote a lack of efficiency. Rounding separations up, no. I'd still question everyone's experience levels. Well, I can hear a good amount of experience by the way the pilot handles himself on frequency. Obviously, as ATC, I can't aviate for you. I can't navigate for you. We can talk about aerodynamics on frequency when it's not busy, but all I can really do is communicate. That's about it. Clear to land, clear for takeoff, traffic, don't hit that guy, you know, common sense stuff. If one of those Cessnas in this scenario would have called up and said, tower, ready for departure. Wouldn't have played. Hold short for life. Taxi to park or something. No, he would have been waiting. I would not have cleared him for immediate takeoff or tried that. And I've done that, you know, on limited basis. If I know a few of the CFIs around here that fly in and out of Meacham, and they tell me, they'll text me before I go to work, and they'll say, hey, we're flying out around this time, you know, maybe try to give my student what's it called, a freaking curveball. There we go. Yeah, we're thinking now. And so as long as I keep it safe, there's no issue on either side, you know, and I've done that sometimes. I've had a weary student. I also make sure I know that there's a CFI with them. Solo students, they have all the space and then some in the world. Absolutely. You're right there. I've had several controllers assuming I was a student because I showed up in a 150 I was ferrying. Taxi to park. LOL. That's interesting. Well, it's because it's a training airplane. You know, I assume the same in some instances. Like I said, okay, we're going off a little bit. I'll answer this one last one. We'll move on. What can a pilot who is not as comfortable in a busy scenario do to not mess up your plan and also give themselves the time they need to be comfortable, i.e. breaking the chain in their airplane? Okay, well, don't physically break anything, because then you may have to seriously taxi to park. If you're not comfortable in a busy scenario and you don't want to mess up, I would advise that you express your intentions very clearly. You know, if you got a student, you're taking them out, and that same scenario is happening, I'm trying to get you guys efficiently out so the student's not paying for 0.5 extra of Hobbs time, which has happened to me on multiple occasions. Just be confident. You know, ask for assistance if you're by yourself. Or, I tell everyone this all the time, hey, Tower, this is a student pilot. We're flying an airplane, and we're ready for departure. Student pilot. And it works every single time, especially with me. I mean, I assume that we're all students because we're all always learning, breaking the chain. So once the second you think you know it all, you don't. And that's when things start to happen. That's when you know your chain is not broken and bad things happen. Student for life. Yep. You might want to turn the light because your video is flashing colors. Okay. Stand by 1 second. I may need to. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. All right. I have Let There Be Light. All I had to do was pray. No, I called my 8-year-old. Okay. Thank you for that, Chris. I have the light on now. Thank you. Nope, I'm busy. Love you. Okay. Next scenario. I think that was all the questions. Tell the producer about bad lighting. It's just me. It's funny. I don't like the light so much, so I have the light off all the time. But in this scenario, I'll keep it turned on. Stay student pilot. Okay. Either that or you claim you have an airsick passenger. Will, an airsick passenger doesn't mean anything to me as ATC unless you're declaring an emergency for him. Passengers get sick all the time on commercial airliners and all that. Unless you're turning purple, losing breath, dying, you know, that's emergency worthy. And in that case, say something. If you tell me you're coming back on a cross country or whatever, and you enter a busy pattern and you say, my student's sick, I need to land right away. Okay, you're going to get the same treatment as everybody else. Enter the traffic pattern, enter the downwind, whatever. I was making a joke. Oh, okay. All right. COVID-19 is not emergency worthy. Okay, so take the mask off. As an instructor, reminder my students that controllers are just people too. Worst case scenario, just talk normal. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dayton Dabs. I appreciate that. In the book, if you can't spit it out phraseology-wise, just talk to us. We are people. We live, we breathe, we drink glorious Mountain Dew. I'm not paid to say that. All right, we're going to move to the next scenario, guys. Oh, why doesn't it work? Is this the second one? Yes. Okay. This one actually happened. So in the ATC world, we had what was called, we did an RSAT meeting, a runway safety action team meeting, and lots of big wigs essentially got called in, and we talked about this and what we could have done better, what we could have done differently. So again, you're working the tower. You got 3 airplanes in the pattern on 1 runway, and you have a Baron doing full stop taxi backs, and you have your normal IFR jet traffic in and outbound. You got, your other pistons as well, and you have a Baron. He's on the ground. He calls ready for departure. He's all right. We're ready to do another lap of the pattern, and you've noticed that he's been getting out and going. Like he's been doing it an immediate takeoff himself. You're not even telling it to him. You have a Falcon 900 on a 3-mile final doing 140 knots over the ground. Would you, this is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, would you clear the Baron for immediate takeoff and tell him about the traffic on 3-mile final? Or would you tell the Baron to stand by or hold short, followed by him saying, oh, I can get out. I can get out before he gets here. What would you guys do? I got the chat up. Let's see. Hold short. Get him out of there. Clear the Baron for a mid-deep takeoff. Clear him, clear for departure, stay immediate, let him go. Stand by him. If he complains, he'll stand even longer. That happens sometimes. Clean the Baron. Baron's probably dirty after some laps in the pattern. I'm not letting him do my job. Good answer, Ernie. I like it. Hold short, don't let him convince you otherwise. Okay, lots of 50-50 answer. Immediate at your discretion. The Baron can always go later. Okay, so great. All right, perfect. So we're getting about 50-50 here. We're getting about 50-50 on what could have been done versus what was done. So from the Baron's perspective, or from the tower's perspective, most of you would say hold short. Some of you would say cleared for immediate. I'll send you when I'm ready to send you. +1 for Ernie's answer. Okay, cool. All right, we're advancing one step. This is a base scenario. We're advancing one step. Let's just say you're the half of the people that have responded, and I'm not seeing everyone respond. So if you're sitting there and you have the ability to type, please participate. It's good for you. Let's say you said cleared for takeoff, cleared for immediate takeoff, traffic on a 3-mile final is a Falcon. And he reads it back, okay, we're going, but he gets out in the runway and he sits. What would you do then? Hold short. If I was in the Falcon, I'd be thinking WTF, introduces unnecessary risk to clear the BE-58. Hold short, err on the side of caution, hold short. Okay, Falcon go around. Okay, the Falcon's IFR. So sending an IFR jet around causes paperwork for us. It's not something we like to do. But in the interest of safety, we will do it. Falcon has to go around. Falcon has to go around. Okay. All right. So hold short because you already decided to have them hold short. Give the plane on the runway a call. Okay, so in the meantime, while you're thinking about the Baron on the runway, you have the Falcon coming down final. He's doing about 140 over the ground. He's 3-mile final. Do the math. That's about, what, a minute and a half at max? I mean, he's moving. By the time you're finished thinking and spitting it out, your plan's done. The paperwork should not be a deterrent. Yeah, I know. It's not. We just don't like to do paperwork. So if we can avoid it by being safe in the first place, then we'll do that. How close is the Falcon? 6,000 feet of separation. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Chelsea. I couldn't read. I'm getting tired. So yes, in that case, it would be 6,000 feet of runway separation. Well, Falcon is quick and won't cause the Baron much delay at all. So Jared, the Falcon is coming down final over here. There we go. There we go. Yeah, something like that. And the Baron's over here, sorry, facing the other way. And this is happening right here. What would happen then? I mean, a lot of you say you would send him around. Let's assume for one moment you cleared him for immediate. He said, I'm going immediately. And then you turn around because it's air traffic's job to scan the runways. Why would I clear you if there's something on the runway? You know, I look this way, and then I look that way, and I go, okay, there's no naked buffaloes on the runway, and the Baron's still sitting there. In that short scan I just did, that's about how long a scan goes for most people. That Falcon's already short final. So your Baron rolling would cause a bigger problem, essentially. Baron can wait, cancel takeoff clearance. Okay. So here's what happened in this scenario. I'm glad everyone's seeing it from different views. Here's what happened. The Baron got out on the runway. He took his sweet time. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was drinking his Mountain Dew. He sat there for longer than he should have, and he accepted an immediate clearance. In the actual scenario, the Baron did not say, I can get out before he gets here. That didn't happen. I just threw that in there for a twist. The Falcon pilot went around when he was about a 1-mile final. He said, tower, this ain't going to work going around. And the Baron was still not moving. So you're 6,000 feet. How much is a mile? Is 5,280, right? So if you need at least a mile. If the guy's a mile final and the Baron hasn't moved yet, you know, do all the calculations in physics and stuff. He's not going to beat him out at all. The Falcon went around. went around on the right side of the runway. We were north flow that day, so he had to go to the east side. And after that, the pilot on the runway was told to exit the runway and essentially get their crud in order, and was told to contact ground. And then the jet pilot went around, obviously, and then he said, there were say intentions. Pilot said, we'll cancel, we'll want to make right traffic, and we'll want to land. Of course, you want to go do approaches with passengers on board? So he made right traffic. He canceled IFR with the tower, which you can do for the IFR peoples. And he made right traffic, and he landed full stop. The Baron got off the runway, and the Baron sat in the run-up area thinking about life for about 5 more minutes, and then they continued to do what they were doing. That's the actual scenario. So let me ask you this. That's what happened. Where do you think the chain was not broken in that scenario? Was it by pilot A, Mr. Baron, who couldn't find his way to the runway to save his life? Or was it the Falcon's fault? Or was it the controller's fault? I want to see what you guys have to say. Falcon may not see the Baron. He may not see the Baron, Jason, but he can hear him on frequency if he's paying attention, which everyone should do. Baron and controller both. Fast IFR traffic closed in. Don't clear for takeoff. Controller screwed the pooch. Oh, crud. Hold on. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right. Baron's fault, mostly. Controller, some. I don't know, Chris. That's not how higher ups saw it. That's the previous comment. Don't take the runway unless you're to go. Barrack 7 should have gone. It's always the controller's fault. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Controller's fault. Controller for allowing Baron to go. Pick's fault is usually the way it works. Both pilots. Baron, mostly we know that you gave us an immediate clearance and you're putting some responsibility on us. All controller. Baron 58 was not ready. This should decline. Baron crew, we can wait. Amazing. It's simply amazing. It's all the differences that make us alike. It's 50-50 in this whole entire thing, and then you have some cheesy answers on the side. Baron crew, we can wait. Yeah, okay. Any more whose fault do you think it was? There's no wrong answer. This is all take with you what you will. Where's the first opportunity to break the chain decision to clear, take off, or to hold short? It's Baron's fault taking a bunch of time making the Falcon go around. Okay, so lots of good answers. It seems there's some diversity in the world. That's nice. In my humble, non-FA opinion, the Baron, most of you are right. The Baron accepted an immediate clearance and he did not go. And you're flying a Baron, so you can look out the window and go, oh, there's a Falcon on final. And he was 3 miles away. He was still slowing down. Personally, I've done this exact same thing many times, and I didn't have any problems with it. This one particular day, someone had a problem with it, and Craig got screwed up. Was the Baron told about the Falcon? Yes, the Baron was told about the Falcon. No, the Falcons, I won't repeat that. A Baron can afford to wait. Curious, what are the repercussions to a controller when they hand down cause loss of deflation? Hands down, controller has the big picture. So no individual blame was assigned. I'll say the controller in this case. In the end, the finding was by multiple people and by multiple experts, SMEs that ran the whole scenario after the fact. Oh, I guess I should finish the scenario. This happened. The Baron got deviated. The other pilot called when he landed and asked what the heck was that. And there was a nice big report about it. And because it was I don't know if it was considered a near miss, but if you guys do have a near miss, that's a big deal. Especially if you say it on frequency or you call it and you say it on a recorded phone. Blame isn't the issue. Well, in this scenario, Will, it is slightly the issue because as a pilot, what would you have done better? Obviously, you all have your answers there. This guy was a CFI conducting training, multi-engine training in a Baron. It was a nice day. Winds were fine, clear. You could see everything. What chains would have added up to that in order to break it? You know, like Jeremy said, it starts when you get the mission, which in my case, my missions always start at home when I wake up or the previous day. What am I doing? You know, what has to fall through? You know, or the breaking the chain or the Swiss cheese model. It works the same way. So what happened? Like I said, it was determined that the controller made a bad call by clearing after the radar feed was viewed and the tapes were reviewed and a lot of people sat down at the table and evaluated the scenario. It was determined that part of it was the controller's fault and part of it was the pilot's fault. It was a little bit of half and half because the Baron said, I'll go immediately, and the Baron did not go. And the controller was scanning, that's correct. There's nothing wrong with scanning. It's, you know, someone was cleared, get out and go, and not get out and drink your Mountain Dew. It doesn't work that way. So it's half and half, and they came up with some procedures that I'm not going to yap about to prevent that from happening again. I actually was not in the tower for this one. I had walked up as soon as it was done. So, if safety isn't put in priority, it isn't always an issue. Yep. As soon as the Baron pilot realized he had a problem, inform the controller. Yes. As soon as you have any problem or any change in attitude, maybe you got out there and you're like, oh, you know what, that Taco Bell's catching up to me. I need to go back to parking. Say it sooner, not wait for it and think you can get by. Say it sooner, immediately, especially when you're talking to a controller. Amen. Amen. Takes two to tango. Yes. What triggered the review of this scenario? What triggered it was that there was, because IFR Jet, he sent himself around. The controller did not send him around. He sent himself around. The controller did not. So in that case, IFR Jet's going around, like I said, that causes paperwork. It causes what's called an MOR, Memorandum of Record, something like that. And anytime there's an MOR for anything, it gets once you hit the submit button, it goes everywhere. Okay, it goes up, essentially, in importance of people. Doesn't necessarily go out, it goes up. So management heard about it, their management heard about it, their management heard about it, and it escalated. And by the wording, it sounded like a near miss, even though it didn't say near miss, I don't think. Like I said, I don't have the specifics. These are what-if scenarios. What triggered the review? Ego. Good call on the jet pilot's part. Sounds like too much management. I won't go into that. Okay, so I'm glad we got a lot of participation on that one. See where you guys would sit or stand in, well, I guess sitting in the airplane on that scenario. What if you had canceled IFR once the airport was in sight? Irrelevant. I still don't need two airplanes crashing. A Falcon hitting a Baron is no bueno. It's like traffic, you know, turn 10 degrees right for noise abatement. How much noise abatement does a Falcon make? It makes a lot when you hit a Baron, you know. The Falcon was correct. I believe the Falcon was correct. Yeah, the pilot, he initiated his own go-around. In his scenario, he doesn't care about a Baron pilot that's taking his time. He also doesn't care about the controller who's sitting in an air-conditioned tower drinking Mountain Dew. He's got his own crew to take care of in that scenario. It makes a lot when it hits the Baron. Yeah, I don't like eating Cessnas or Barons for lunch. Agreed. Okay, well, I think we got a lot of good feedback on that one. Again, questions, throw them in there, and I'll run past them if I can see them. I got my chat on a different screen, so it's not like I'm not paying attention, okay? All right, we're going to go into one more. All right, this one actually happened to me personally, so I can speak to it very, very much better. You're working the tower. You have 3 airplanes in the pattern. I like to throw 3 airplanes in there. It just throws you off. You got to think about those too, especially when you're working. In these scenarios, it doesn't mean much. You have multiple arrivals and departures on the big runway, and you have a Cherokee that comes to a full stop, and they come up. They come to the tower and they say, "Tower, I want a taxi to park. I'm all done." Okay, cool. And the pilot is told, "Taxi via Delta, hold short 16." Cool. The student pilot struggles to read the back, but she gets it out, or he gets it out, or the student pilot gets it out. After about 20 seconds, shortly after, I get a 172 that calls ready for departure. And I got plenty of space. The other guy was told to hold short. So I should be good, right? Okay. Yeah, he needs to depart the runway. So let's say you clear the 172 for takeoff. The Cherokee is slowly taxiing toward the hold short line. And, you know, you told them to hold short. They read it back. Moments later, you scan your runway, because that's exactly how it works. In the tower, we have these chairs that spin just like this. And you come back, and you see that the Cherokee is past the hold short line. Oh, by the way, the 172 had just rotated. What would you do? Tell them to taxi and park and call this number. Pray. Tell them to stop immediately. Call this number. Stay put. All you can do is tell them to stop. Love it. Stop. That's a tough one. Shine a red light at them. Stop. Okay. If they're already blocking the runway, tell the piper to finish crossing. They weren't blocking, but the way that this scenario worked was that the Cherokee was crossing the runway here, and the Cessna was coming this way. So this was happening. This was happening right here. 172 VX. Yeah, that's not exactly phraseology, Corey, but I'll remember that. As soon as I saw the Cherokee move, told him to stop. Obstacle. Can you imagine? Agreed. Tell Piper to get off the runway ASAP. I want to talk to his instructor. Pilot deviation for crossing the hold short. Okay. So it's just like when you're flying. These split-second decisions happen, and you have to figure out. In a scenario right here, you're learning how to break the chain or whatever you can take away from it. So you can think about it. What would I do? A, B, C, or D? You're flying, you know, critical phase of flight. What do you do then? You know, it doesn't come as quickly as we're talking about it now. Bad calls, no matter how you slice it. It's a great reminder to be spray loaded to make an immediate aborted takeoff. Okay, so Chris, this guy was already rotated. Aborted takeoff means he would have landed and crashed right into that Cherokee. Potentially crashed. I would say potentially crashed. I like the pray response. Pray. Yep. It's a great reminder. Bad calls. E. Okay. Yay. I don't know what that says. What would be considered a near miss? When your airplane comes too close to another airplane and it's not intended. So formation flying, intended. Non-formation flying, doing this, not good. That's a near miss. Also advise the to avoid pipe at the ground. Big sip of Mountain Dew and watch the show. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. No, what would be considered a near miss? Would that be considered? No, would that be? Okay, sorry. I read that wrong. All right, so here's what happened. Lots of good answers. I like it. Here's what happened. Here's what I did, you know. As soon as my stomach finished dropping and I inhaled for about 10 seconds, you know, I immediately keyed up and I yelled, Cherokee, stop. I forgot the call sign. It'll just be Cherokee for now. Cherokee, stop. And she slammed on the brakes. Those brakes work, thank God. Unlike that pilot lady that one time. And the Cessna that was rotating was about to that intersection. So 50 feet, maybe 100. Cherokee stopped. I didn't even wait for her to read back that she was stopping. I saw her stop, and I went immediately to the Cessna, and I said, Cessna, whatever it was, Cessna, whatever, offset left side of runway, immediately. How would you like that? Critical phase of flight, I'm yelling at you to do that. Not many of you would like that at all. Of course, you wouldn't have liked that someone crossed the line anyways. But the responsibility is upon me as the tower controller, or you in that scenario if you're working tower. The Cessna came back, and he didn't even respond. He just did that, offsetted, increased the distance between them, and yeah, that he rotated and departed without further issue. They were pretty chill about it on frequency. They're like, okay, yeah, we see that guy. We're gonna go around him. So it's almost like they were expecting it. They broke their chain. All right. So after that guy passed the intersection, I keyed up and told Cherokee, cross 16 at Delta immediately and contact ground on the other side. And this student pilot, she was a student pilot. she pretty much broke down on the ground frequency because I was doing tower in that case. I had somebody else working ground, and I told the ground controller, who was also the person in charge, I said, hey, this one needs it. That's deviation worthy right there. You know, you crossed and you came really close. No bueno. So she had to take care of the deviation in that case, and I went back to working my airplanes after breathing very heavily for a long time and sipping down lots of Mountain Dew. Yep, possible pilot deviation. Yep, it happened for sure. Get across the runway now actually would have been it's hard to describe. Maybe I'll do a picture next time. That actually probably would have been the worst thing to do because that would have brought them a lot closer. Mountain Dew, that's a calming fluid. It's very calming. So, Slurm. glad you guys participated on that one for what to do in that scenario. What would you do if you were the Cessna rotating and I didn't say anything to you? Let's assume that I was not working, so you're not getting the best air traffic service possible, and somebody else does not say anything to you, but you physically see this happening. What would you do? Without me even saying anything. Offset as best I can, okay? Is the Mountain Dew the soft drink my kind of grandfather used to make? I would deviate to the left, okay? Fly the airplane, I would offset, safe altitude, get on the radio, tell the Cherokee myself, offset. Okay, cool. So most of us have the same idea of offsetting. If you weren't there, would she have stopped? Probably not, because I yelled on frequency, and I don't like to yell on frequency. It puts everyone at uneasy. So I think I freaked her out, but at the same time, I probably saved her life. Away from deviating playing. Tell Terry to stop, scream WTF on frequency. That's not what I would recommend. But in the long run, if anything came of it, it would prove a point. Or maybe an Arnold yell on frequency. Yeah, that may not go the best way either. Anybody else? Let's see, most people would deviate. Okay, well, when you're rotating in a Cessna, maybe you're not able to see just over here to the right. Maybe you can if you're sitting in the right seat. Maybe you're not. You could reverse it. What if it was a Cessna that crossed and a Cherokee that rotated? You're up here, looking up. You also have a wing below you, and an engine in front of you. So it's actually seeing that happen may not have happened if the controller hadn't said anything. Again, these are just what if scenarios. Take away with it what you can. And think next time you're flying, what can I do better? All right. Any more questions on that one? That one was, yeah, I had to eat Chipotle after that one just to calm down. That one was, oof. This gives me great respect for the work you all do. Thank you, Chris. I love and enjoy my job. Anybody else? All right. 1, 2. This was a really fun webinar. I hope you do this again sometime. As long as Jeremy invites me back, we'll make it happen. Anticipate mistakes other planes will make. Agreed. I've never seen things from the controller perspective. Awesome. Okay. All right, cool. We are going to move on to trending pilot actions. You guys can read this list and take with it what you will. This is the same list I showed you earlier. I wrote this list down. This is all stuff that I saw in the last week. Yes, last week that I was working. So check-in phraseology. I covered this a little bit on the last one, and I do what I can to talk about it in any YouTube video or any kind of fast event that I'm doing. I'm also a fast rep that I try to do these rain check things to try to bring pilots in so we can all see each other and shake hands and act like normal people. But all this COVID stuff is not allowing that right now. So Zoom is about the best it gets. Plus Zoom allows for us to reach a lot more people, and you don't have to leave home. All right, so check-in phraseology. If anyone has any question about anything on the screen, I'll just run through them real quick. Student pilots letting themselves get her prodded is a good one. Okay. Okay. All right, so yeah, let me run through these real quick. So check-in phraseology. Anyone have any questions on check-in phraseology? Because what I've listened to was not good. One little tip I'd like to help you continue to break your chain is say departure when you're ready for departure, and takeoff when you're cleared. Cleared to land. Yeah, cleared for takeoff, and then when you're cleared to land, you say clear to land. Obviously, you're not going to be, we're arriving when you're on final. No, it's clear to land. But takeoff is the biggest thing to prevent runway incursions. I had a few pilots that confused takeoff for something else. And I'm like, nope, that wasn't you. Exit the runway. Pilots not responding in a timely manner. That one happens a lot. Phraseology often doesn't get adequately covered in ground school. Well, I agree, which is why when I become a CFI, you're going to sit for a day and we're going to talk about it. Let's see. For many years, I was in no hurry for exchange tower for approach assistance on the temperature. Once you call ASAP because you may have instructions to integrate local flow, what say you? Ryan B. That's one that goes down at the bottom. But yes, let me run down. Pilot here, pull to line, accept immediate, reading back. Oh, I didn't add that one. Oh, crud. Thank you, Ryan. You reminded me of a good topic. Pilots not responding in a timely manner. When it's busy, let's say you're flying through Bravo or even Charlie if the controller's struggling. When you're called, respond. I don't know how many of you guys are CFIs. I know one for sure in the name of Jeremy. And I told him this. I told all my CFI friends this, and I preach it. If your student is struggling, this corresponds with the next one, by the way. CFI is not taking over the radios in a timely manner. If your student is struggling, don't let him struggle, especially when I'm getting, my butt kicked, working 10 airplanes in a small airspace. And there's no time for that. Absolutely no time. If I'm waiting longer than 5 seconds for a reply and I'm busy, you may end up getting a, hey, look at that to the northwest, fly northwest and exit my airspace. I've only had to do that like once or twice in my entire career. So respond as quickly as you can. If you don't know what was told, say again, or if you were told something and you can't do it, become sully for a minute and go unable, whatever. I've asked pilots to do many things, short approaches, immediate takeoffs, all that stuff that as a pilot myself, I understand that these pilots may have the ability with the airplane, but maybe they don't have the personal ability. So you bring a student pilot out, they don't do short field takeoffs yet. Oh, that's a bad example. Well, it's something they couldn't do. Immediate takeoffs, that's what I meant to say. So I wouldn't expect much out of that in that case. Oh, crap, there's a lot of comments. I have seen some dumb crap at TKI. Okay. Pilots letting themselves get prodded. What do you mean there? Jared, sorry, I forgot. I just saw it. Phraseology, also, in many years, I was in no hurry to frequency. Okay, so let's talk about, before I continue on the list, let's talk about Ryan's thing real quick. I was in no hurry to switch to tower from approach. Okay, so this one happened to me multiple times. I had it written down. I don't know why I didn't put it on the slideshow. If you're IFR, you're talking to approach, even if you're VFR flight following, if you're within 10 miles of my field and you have it in sight, you should be talking to the tower. You should not be lollygagging with approach control because they're busy. Seriously. I had two in the last week alone. One of them found his way to 1 mile final before he called me and keyed up and said, hey, we're 1 mile final. Are we clear to land? And I'm like, well, sure thing, partner, clear to land. Are you freaking kidding me? You guys don't let that happen to you. If you're not talking, if you're not transitioning the airspace, if you're into that airspace to land and you're already in the airspace, not talking to tower, at a tower controlled field, you need to speak up and say something. Yeah, that's what I'll say about that, Ryan. And sometimes I need you to slow down or speed up, and sometimes it's just like, what the heck? Approach their controllers too, and they maybe have something more important than you at the moment. So, hey, tower, hey, we got tower in sight, or approach, we got the field in sight. Hey, we're going to tower. Something, just, say altimeter. I don't know, something. Just remind them that you're there. And just get over to the tower, as soon as it's practical. Obviously, if you're VFR, 10 miles out is about the normal place. Meacham's in the middle of a bunch of other airspace, so there's only certain ways in and out that are useful. But yeah, oh goodness gracious. I'm a sticker for RT procedure, being a grad of the Army Signal School, not a CFI, but I have a CG. I don't know what the RT procedure is. Brevity is important. Contact should be socialists know what you want before they can probably carry out control duties. Thank you, Lenny. If it's a slow day in Delta airspace, I'm more likely to allow my students to make their mistakes on the radio. A busy day, I take their. Thank you, Dayton. That's exactly what I would love to see. Refrain for saying or while talking to ATC. Yep, that's a good one, Chris. I get that a lot. I'm like, you can sing in the shower. Don't talk on my frequency with that stuff. Learn to be brief. I hate it when a pilot goes on and on. I had a pilot do a 30-second intro the other day. It was not good. I ended up keying up over him to get things moving because I had other things going on. Run Forest. Okay. Sounds like a Bravo buster. Not exactly, Jay, but if Brian with the Y comes over, I'll let him know. Field in sight is a great reminder to approach control. Exactly. November 7-3 run November. You need to leave Bravo now. Oh, jeez. Yeah, don't do that either. Radio telephony. Okay, thanks. Corey, don't be that guy. What is meant to be correct on the radio? Push to talk, not push to think. Yep, that's true. Okay, yeah, so a lot of common sense, but it doesn't happen because you're flying an airplane, you're aviating, you're trying to navigate, and then you're doing it all low to the surface. So sometimes your communicating doesn't exactly happen. Just something to think about. Pilot disoriented and not seeking assistance. I had a guy last week, couldn't find the airfield. Like I said, Meacham's in the middle of a bunch of Class D airspaces. He was lined up and he was going to Navy. I would not recommend landing at a military installation without permission unless you are in an emergency. Not so good things can happen, AKA getting an M4 pointed at your face because nobody knew you were coming. Ask help, or I'll even throw it out. Hey, it looks like you're lined up to Navy. Oops. Yep, that happens a lot. Be aware of your surroundings. You know, at Meacham we have a lot of, we have more on average people come in at night and they mistake Navy for Meacham because Navy's got a big long runway. And Meacham has a shorter runway, but the lights are different. I think Navy has all LED lights over there. So you see those lights as a pilot, boom, diphtheritis. There it is. I got it right here. And the next thing you know, you have me keying up and going, I wouldn't recommend landing at Navy. Meacham's at your 1 o'clock in 5 miles. Okay, we're going to do this, you know. Save you a little bit of trouble there. Minimize unsolicited help to ATC unless asked, or if you ask ATC. So if it does happen, do exactly what I told. American flyer students have been chased out of TKI. Okay, I won't go into that, Jay. How many of you guys have been flying and you hear on frequency ATC trying to get a hold of somebody? Let's just for example, I went to Florida a couple of weeks ago, or last week, I don't remember, a week and a half ago. And I was flying a Cherokee 6, and I was at 7,500 feet or whatever it was. And I heard air traffic trying to get a hold of this Cessna. And I could see him on 4-flight. He was low to the ground, and he was just doing some interesting directions. So I kept an eye on it. I mean, what do you want me to do? There's not much I could do anyways. He was just flying like a normal pilot. He didn't appear to be doing anything out of the norm. But air traffic was trying to get a hold of him, and they got nothing. They called him about 5 times. One of them was traffic. I could see that on the 4-flight too. I could see that he was doing this number, and there was one guy just coming straight, and he was doing this. So they were trying to give him traffic. Eventually, they told the other guy, and he saw him and avoided. But I waited. About 5 times, and I waited for it to be quiet on frequency. And I said, "Hey, approach 464 whiskey. You want me to try to get a hold of that guy?" Because you guys know that radios don't go everywhere, and maybe you can act as a relay. The point I'm making is when you have to be, or when you should offer that, when you should solicit that. And the controller came back and told me, he said, yeah, would you mind trying to get a hold of him? And sure enough, I'm like, well, yes, sir. I'm a controller too. Hey, Cessna, where you at? He didn't answer. Great. I tried twice, and I told the controller, hey, no joy, but I tried. And they said, okay, thanks. I ended up getting a hold of him. He just wasn't listening to the radio very well. But if you guys, so yes, all the time, a few times, too many times to count. I was asked to contact another plane back in February that switched frequencies before being told to. I've done that more than once. You're doing awesome, brother. No, oh, okay. Roger, got it. We'll keep moving. Wait for some space on frequency before you ask if you can help. Don't just go on there and start yelling at some other pilot. Please don't do that. It adds workload, and it could affect you in the long run. All right, moving right along. Pilot behavior during busy operations. That goes back to, just I wrote that one down because I was busy this last week and I had some pilots just doing whatever they wanted. There was a pilot coming down final, and there was a Phenom or an IFR jet coming in behind him. So we said, okay, best forward speed, we'll be just fine, you know. And it was a Cherokee, so 100 knots is about the best we got out of that guy. The jet traffic was well behind him, spacing was good, and he was told about traffic coming in behind him, you know, like 10 miles away. Just keep your speed up. What does this guy do? He does a 360 on final. It literally, this one actually happened to a friend of mine that I was sitting watching him. I was given the position to somebody else, and it happened. And I'm like, mind blown. What is that guy doing? And of course, the conversations you don't hear on frequency, you guys would laugh at a lot of them. But a lot of it in that scenario is, what the heck? Kept it clean there. This guy just did what he wanted to. And it ended up turning directly into the airplane right behind him that was coming down final. Just try to behave, I say, pilot behavior. Pull up to the line. This is a good one. Listen before the key to mic. I've done it. Requested another pilot to relay. That's a pucker factor. Thanks. Okay. Pull up to the line. Everybody knows what the hold short line is, right? When I say hold short, you say hold short, hold short. Okay. I do that at the fast meetings. It works a little bit better. At Meacham, we have a run-up area that's it's like a big circle on both ends of the main runway, and there's a small one on the small runway. And I get pilots that call in the back of the run-up area. Hey, Tower, this is Cessna. Ready for departure? And I'm like, you don't look ready to me. You look like you're in the back of the run-up area. Go ahead and pull up to the line. I've timed this. I've actually done that. I think it's line up and wait now. Nope. Well, no. I haven't gotten to that yet, Will. The line, the hold short line, the line you're supposed to wait behind. I mean, obviously when you're doing run-ups, you're out of everyone's way. But the hold short line, it's where you stop right before you go, right? So I've timed this, and on many occasions, I get about 30 to 45 seconds it takes for pilots in the back of the run-up area to get all the way up to the hold short line. It can vary by your field. I'm explaining Meacham because that's where I work. Basically, that there's distance there. And if I'm trying to do a squeeze play, or I'm trying to get you out efficiently, you being in the back of the run-up area does not help me. If you have the ability to move up to the line, then move up to the line. Thank you. If you're behind somebody else, you call ready for departure in sequence, and that's fine. If you can't move, that's fine. Oh, line up and wait. So yeah, line up and wait is on the actual runway. So if I have no reason to line you up, the only reason you're going to get line up and wait is if there's somebody else on the runway in front of you. That's the only reason you should get it. I know in the military they do different things. They do line up and wait without an IFR release and all that fun stuff. Not in the small GA world. If I line you up, it's because there's somebody that just passed you and you're next to go and you need to be ready. It's pull over, pull on, and stop. Line up and wait, essentially. So pull up to the line when you guys are ready. Because if the tower controller tries to get you out and you're in the back of the run-up area, you had 45 seconds, 30 seconds. Let me just taxi at my speed here. And it takes all that time. It doesn't help me when you say you're ready for departure because I don't believe you. Some controllers do things differently. This is just me. You could get a million different opinions from a million different controllers. All right. Next one. Traffic is slow. No run-up area available. Do I run up? Okay, let's stop. Run-up 1 is hard. Several planes doing run-up. You are the last but ready to go. Do you really cut the line and pull to run-up? Okay. If you have room and you're ready to go, I would get on tower frequency and say, tower, ready for departure. If there's an intersection nearby, maybe they'll put you out of the intersection. If you can't get past any of those people in that scenario, yeah, you're going to have to wait. Or if you're turning onto a main taxiway, you can tell ground, hey, we'll be ready at the end. We're not doing a run-up this time. And ground will tell you, okay, call tower now, because maybe they'll have you back taxi or they'll offer you an intersection departure. Again, it's all on you. What is the best way to do the pull up to the line if you're IFR clearance, still move to the line or call ready before that? So Paula, it varies. In the air traffic world, jets are assumed ready upon reaching. However, 70 to 80% of the time, they are ready, and the other 20%, they are not ready. So it says that in our book that jets are to assume ready because they don't need to run up. I get them all the time, and they get down to the end. They're like, we're not ready. We need a minute. Okay, cool. Not going to rush you. I don't rush anybody to get out for anything, especially when there's weather. And they're like, oh, we got to go. Nope, get their itis. Not good. I can sense it. So if you're IFR and you're ready to go and there's room, if there's obviously if there's other airplanes, you may not move right away. But if you're by yourself and you have the ability, or if there's other airplanes and you have the ability to move up to that line, it varies. If there's no airplanes, pull up to the line so I can get you out. IFR, VFR, it doesn't matter. And just let the tower know, hey, we're ready. And what I'll do is, if you're IFR and you're in the back of the run-up area and there's VFR guys all around, then it almost comes down to a first come, first serve, case-by-case basis. I mean, some of these things will happen exactly as I'm explaining them to you because I have the experience. Some of these things will happen differently. So don't go flying tomorrow and go, well, let's know what Matt said. It varies. It varies on your airport. Let me run through these questions real quick. I've gotten a bit rusty in the past few months, haven't we all? Line of weight is used more often in Class C airports, I believe. For the arrivals and departures, I use it sometimes, not recently. I don't have a lot of experience at a control airport. Isn't going from the run-up to the line, going to a non-movement to a movement? Okay, so good question. Some airports are different, like I said. If you guys follow Carl from Fly with the Guys, he flies out of an airport near Phoenix, Deer Valley, and they actually have designated run-up areas, and you taxi to them, and then when you're ready, you call tower to taxi out of them. So again, it varies. If you have one of those areas at your airport, you do what the tower tells you to do, or ask permission, ask on frequency, especially if it's slow. Ask questions. Tower, you got a quick question? You got time for a quick question? Yes, I do. No, I'm busy. You'll hear that. Ask questions. Depending on where the run-up area is, a reference to the runway. You don't need permission if you've already been cleared to taxi to any ground of part in the run-up. Okay, easy to be at the back run-up line. When should I call for a run-up on taxiway in lieu of a separate area? Johnny, if there's a designated area for run-ups or a run-up area, there's a good chance you're going to go to that. Maybe if you don't really want to go all the way over there, you just want to taxi to the hold short line, you could ask tower. Depends on the procedures of your airport. Some airports, they'll put you over there to do your run-up, whether they think you need one or not. And you could tell them, hey, I don't need a run-up. Or if you're going to taxi normal and be ready at the line, ready to go, then you just let them know that. Again, I say it over and over again. It varies by airport. Okay. I usually let ground know I will require a run-up. Most of the props are assumed to need a run-up. Thanks. Have a good evening. All right. Accepting immediate takeoff clearance. Okay, we talked about that one with the whole Barron scenario. And I wrote this little note is for me. So the other day I had a Cherokee in the run-up area. He called ready. I had a Phenom on a 4-mile final, very similar to what happened in the scenario. And the Cherokee, I said, hey, I got a Phenom on a 4-mile final, 1-6 clear for takeoff. About 5 seconds later, he comes back and goes, we'll wait. Cancel takeoff clearance and hold short. Cancel takeoff clearance, hold short, read it back. At the same time, I had an IFR Cirrus taxiing out. He did exactly what you said in the comments. He called tower. He's like, I'm going to be ready at the end. And I had already gotten his IFR release. I cleared the Cirrus to go. That Cherokee had all day, but he decided to wait. And I cleared the Cirrus and got the Cirrus out before that Phenom even got to the runway. If you can't accept it, don't. If you do accept it, you better get out there and go. And if you have a change of heart, tell tower. Tell who you need to. Okay. When is saying Wilco appropriate, acceptable? When is saying unacceptable? So I'm not going to go too far into that. I just wrote those down there because of the use. Roger, Wilco, affirmative, negative. Affirmative means yes. Negative means no. Wilco means will comply. Roger means I hear you. So if you're getting a takeoff clearance, you don't read any of those. The landing clearance, any kind of clearance, you don't read any of that stuff back. If I'm telling you about birds on the runway, use caution for a bird on the runway. Roger. Real simple. Hey, turn your base, prior to 2 miles from the field. Wilco. That's a good use for that. Hey, do you see that Antonov right in front of you? Affirmative. Are you declaring an emergency? Negative. So yeah, that's more of a one I just wanted to throw out there. You guys can go and do some more research on that. In the books, my friend Carl from Fly with the Guides, he's going to do an episode on the specifics of those soon, I believe. Reading back runway with clearances. That's a big one. Runway 16 clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff 16. Make sure you guys do that. Takeoff, landing, taxi, etc. All right, we'll move. So the lessons learned we had here, you know, the the Cherokee crossing the hold line with the 172 rotating.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Thanks. Shut off.
You bet.
Oh my gosh.
Have a good night.
Sorry about that. Cherokee's crossing the line with the Cessna's rotating. Bear that in mind. Bear and accepting immediate, not complying. When to trust a pilot and when not to trust a pilot. This has been an interesting one for controllers. And I wrote that there because, like I said earlier, I can normally hear it in their sound. How are they on their confidence on the radio? Are they good, or are they like shaky? Ooh, you know. That if you come across a radio with not so good confidence, you may get delayed sequencing. I'll say that. Alexa unable. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what she heard. Alexa should have said Wilco. I wish you could program that. We won't go off topic too much. How to better work a pattern full of low-time students while simultaneously working all types of itinerants. So the main reason I wrote that one in there is from an air traffic lessons learned, and you guys can take with it what you will. The main reason I wrote this one in there is if you guys have a problem with another airplane operating in the pattern or at all, you could just say so and not let it become an issue. And then, I'm going to pull some evasive maneuvers, you know. I preach it over and over again. About 40 to 50% of the pilots actually go out and do it. A lot, believe it or not, just the way that the human mind works. Those of you that are still here, about 60% will actually take this and apply it in the next coming days. The rest of them will just kind of go out the window. So I just say it over and over again. If you have a problem, if you have a need, and you're talking to air traffic, say something. No meowing on guard, please. All right. We'll move to the last page. This is a frequently asked questions one. I've put those on there. These are questions that I've gotten. When on flight following, passing near, or through another class of the airspace, should I contact the tower so I have two-way radio communication? If you're just transitioning or passing through, you're talking to ATC like approach control, initially I would say no, unless approach control tells you to switch to that tower frequency. Most approach controls have an LOA with the tower that says that they can do certain things like transition over the top or at a certain altitude. Some of them don't. It varies. If you have any doubt, hey, tower, approach, do you want me to switch to the tower real quick? Negative, remain this frequency. Cool. That's it. That's all you got to do. Approach, did not switch me until I was short final. That goes back to what I was talking about a long time ago. You know, should I still land? This has happened. It didn't happen in the last week, but it has happened. Jet came down final, landed. Hey, tower, we're on the rollout. I didn't clear you to land. You know, and it's not so much that they landed and they're just going about their business. It's the fact that they didn't get the clearance, and no one knew they were on frequency. You know, I'll normally reach out. Well, we have a radar there, so I'll reach out and I'll say, hey, this November, whatever, 731 November Romeo, hey, are you there? You know, and I'll do that. Use your best decision making. Controllers are yelling at my student. What's the best course of action? Well, why are they chastising your student? It depends on if you're in the airplane or not. If you're in the airplane and your student's not doing so well, that goes back to taking over when you're supposed to and not letting the student get trampled on. I'm not going to talk about anyone's abilities to instruct as a CFI because I'm not one yet. But at the same time, CFIs, at least some of the CFIs around here, could do a lot better on keying up when they need to and not letting it become an issue. And if you need to, if you're in the airplane, the controller's being that way, hey, tower, why don't you give them a break here? Or tower, we're ready to go. We'll take over the frequency. Simple as that. If your student's on a solo, you probably signed them off because you thought they were ready to go, so they shouldn't have that issue. Also, say student pilot. The controller is busy. How do I get a word in? Well, if the controller is busy, you have plenty of time to think about what you want to say. And as soon as you can find a second of frequency space on the frequency, you key up and say it. Or just say a call sign. It's a good reminder. Be polite, unplug their mic. I'm kidding. If it's something I could do for their technique, getting a word in, no, just wait your turn unless emergency. Well, that goes back to entering an airspace. Like you're landing out of Class D, you're on an IFR flight plan, and you're still not on tower frequency. No, I'm just going to wait on approach control until they tell me to switch. Yeah? No. Switch. Do what you need to do. You can't wait for that kind of stuff all day. If you're VFR and you can avoid or whatever and stay out of the Bravo, that kind of thing, you're out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, I could see that. Just wait a little bit, maybe continue on your flight without flight following for a minute and just monitor. It's case by case. And of course, what if I can't take an immediate takeoff? Pull up to the line if able, and if tower tells you clear for immediate, say unable. Simple as that. Anyways, y'all can finish up. We'll finish up here. Got your questions. Any advice for a stuck mic situation? Any advice for the pilot? My advice for the pilots is to just make sure that your thing is not transmitting. And yeah, I've had a few of those. There's not much that can be done. I've keyed up and I've tried to speak louder, see if they would hear it. Just try to pay attention. It's hard to tell when you have a stuck mic, but when you do have a stuck mic and you start talking about things that you shouldn't talk about on frequency, that's when you got to be careful. But it's just paying attention the best you can. It's hard to prevent that one.
Hey, do you want me to go ahead and unmute everybody and have them ask live questions here for the last 5 minutes or so?
Give me 1 second. Let's run through what's on there, and then just give me 1 more second.
Okay, just tell me one.
Yeah. What's your opinion if the pilot gives you an unsolicited ident when radio is very busy? No comment. My opinion is unchanged. Pilots do that all. I've had that happen. They'll just ident out of nowhere with no one telling them. Maybe it doesn't bother me because approach control is talking to the other airplanes that are flying around and telling them to ident. And I see that too sometimes. So it doesn't bother me. ADSB question, can you see? Oh, yes, I skipped it. Sorry. Can ATC see if I installed ADSB? Most of them that have the radar, they can see if you have it or not. Most towers do not have that function on the radar enabled. Yes, I can enable it, and I should be able to see if you have it or not. But for the most part, I think approach control and the centers, they use that a lot more than I do in the tower. I've had a couple pilots go up and, hey, can you see my ADSB? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Most of the time, it's just a matter of function, and we can see if it's on there or not. Class B ops is a good example. Houston often won't clear you into one, but the BIA, it's unavoidable. Yep. Stuck my frequencies jammed by someone else, go back to the last frequency. You could try that, Chris, depending on where you're at. If you're in the towered environment and you hear a stuck mic on tower, obviously if you're on the ground, just obviously don't do anything, especially if you're clear for takeoff and you hear a stuck mic. I would not be surprised if the pilot just stopped and did not take off. Yes, it screws a few things up, but at the same time, it's a little bit safer. I would do that. If I was flying an airplane and I was cleared and then it just got stepped on by a stuck mic, I would just sit. I would sit safely in the run-up area and wait. Not worth it. Not worth my safety. Good question, though. What are you doing now if someone flies into your regulated airspace but does not have ATC? Can you really act? As a tower controller, I can't do a dang thing. That's not my department. I have effectively used an unsolicited ident with center and they were busy and I was approaching their boundary. They handed me off several seconds later and didn't need to call the freight. Good example, Eric. Okay, Paul, if you'd like to unmute some of them. Actually, let's see. Oh yeah, learning should be fun. If you don't have fun, you don't learn. Learning stops, you die. Keep that in mind. And just finishing up here, I'll get rid of the screen here in a second. That's the end of all I have to talk about on frequency. Check out Taking Off. It's a good channel on YouTube. The flying controller is mine. I'm just getting it back going, and so there's not a lot of stuff up on there yet, but I'm working on it. Also, for all these questions that you guys may or may not have, if you're on Facebook, I have a group. It's called Ask a Pilot / Air Traffic Controller, just like that. And there we go. It's over there now. There we go. And you guys can join in on that if you want. You can ask these questions. And you may get a more specific answer from a more local controller. I know we have a few Austin controllers on there and on Austin pilots on that group as well. And so just an example, say you're in Houston. I have several Houston controllers on there. You could say, hey, I'm looking for a Houston controller answer. What would you do with this? And there's a good chance you can get it. We're getting a lot of controllers on there recently. So jump in there. Make sure you answer the questions or I'll deny you. That's my name right here. Well, that's my email. Make sure you put a L at the end of Hotmail. It's not Hotmy. Don't think of anything else. And that's my cell phone number right there. So if you guys want to write that down and you have questions in the future, shoot me a text. If you call me and I don't answer, enjoy the answering machine and just leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure you tell me that you were in one of these breaking the chains right off the bat, because if you're just calling and don't tell me that, I may not respond. I work there. I'm a professional trial runner. Thanks for coming. Come back to Departure. See ya. Okay. So now that that's over with, let's do stop share. Okay. So thank you for doing this. Make sure they all. There you go. Thanks, Matt. Do you have your phone in the cab? It's not on. It's in the off position. It's like master off. Okay. I won't blow up your phone, but I may email. Go ahead. Okay, so if you want to unmute them now or allow them to be unmuted for verbal questions, I'm down for as long as you guys want to sit here and listen to me talk.
Okay, sounds good. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody and then unmute you so that you can unmute yourself. If you're called in on a cell phone, you should have a little mute button on your phone. If you're on the computer, just unmute yourself. Give me like 2 seconds here. If you have any shenanigans going on in the background, you may want to mute that, any disco music or anything like that. All right, give me just 1 second.
That's a big one.
All right, everybody is unmuted or has the ability to unmute themselves. So
Okay, this is Will here. I'm unmuted now. I just had more of a comment than a question. I think this has been good material, great decision-making presented. No right or wrong opinions. Let's hear what everybody else has to say.
I agree with that. Also, don't use your ailerons at power on stall. Thanks, Brandon.
Whoa, bad echo.
Whoops.
Yeah, I just muted your phone, Matt, so you should be good now.
Oh, you know what? It's the computer.
Yeah, I muted your phone, so.
I'd recommend unmuting.
There you
Unmute
go.
the phone.
You're good.
Well, I'll jump in, Matt. Thank you very much for coming back, and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate being here. Anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns? You can talk to me. Grapes or complaints, talk to Jeremy. Great discussion. I think so. Anything y'all would want to see on the next one of these, if Jeremy calls me back, put that down there as well. And don't forget to, you guys are going to get wings credit for this.
Yeah, one thing I want to throw in there is this is good material, and I'd like to see a more advanced course on this in the future. That would be great.
Define advanced course.
Well, I don't know exactly how you define that, but if you got more to add,
teach
to
us
it, or a
all to
different
be controllers
scenario.
like you.
I can get into a few more things in depth from an ATC side. I would, if you have suggestions on that, because I mean, I could talk for a while on air traffic stuff. So you can message me, email me if you have a specific topic, and I can dive as deep into it as I possibly can. I'm not a CFI just yet, but I can talk about ATC stuff as tower stuff. Maybe pet peeves, learn a lot tonight. Yeah, well, pet peeves with some of those scenarios or trending stuff going on. Yeah, those are kind of pet peeves. I just
That's a
didn't want
great
to
topic.
express them as good. I'm glad you guys like that. They are these. I mean, I wrote these things down. These things happen, for sure.
Because I think about that because I've been flying my entire adult life. I'm not a CFI yet either, but I have been a ground school instructor almost 40 years now. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of issues from all sides of the fence about that one. Yeah, what bothers controllers, what really gets mechanics torqued off and the like. Those are all good stuff.
Yeah, it's all good, especially when you can get a controller that'll actually sit down and talk to you and say, hey, this is what really grinds my gears.
Yeah, and as a pilot, I want to hear that.
You're one of very few, so thanks.
Well,
I don't mind.
Air Force
I don't
flight
mind.
engineer here, so I've been in multiple roles.
Off we go. All right. Yeah, I like that stuff too. Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't mind. I tell all my friends and all the people that fly in and out of Meacham, if I'm working and you got something to say, go ahead and say it. If you can say it, if you need to say it on frequency, make sure it's an air traffic related thing, unless it's just, wow, you rock. But if it's off freak, call me. Tell me, hey, what the heck did you do this for? Why'd you do this? I don't mind feedback, especially when I'm flying. In the end, I think it'll save my life more than anything. So whenever I fly with somebody, I'm like, hey, you see something, say something. You know, why did you rotate before you got to the correct rotate speed? Because I had my flaps down and I was doing short field, dude. You know, just tell me.
Is that right?
Oh, crud. Bedtime. Definitely want you back. Yep. Okay. Yeah, Marisa, you know me. Anybody else? 53 participants. Any more questions, comments, or concerns?
All right.
Anybody else drinking a Mountain Dew?
I have.
Well, we don't think on Mountain Dew.
And the participants got up in the
No,
mid-70s.
no Mountain Dew,
at one
just
point.
Mountain Brew.
Yeah, we had almost 80 participants tonight.
Yeah. So
And
you're down from your peak.
to answer the question, yes, I'll have you come back, and I'm looking forward to having you come back. This has been an outstanding presentation, and we'll get offline on a date for you to come back. Everybody, please
Well,
give
buddy.
Matt a round of applause, please, if you can. In the chat, can you guys see my screen? I shared my screen. It says closing comments. Is it
Yeah.
populated?
Hey, I'm looking at your screen right now, and actually,
You look a
even
little
without
fuzzy.
changing a thing, I'd like to see you guys do this same presentation again in the future. This is important.
Well, in the
Good.
future, it'll be updated trends and stuff. But yeah, we'll make it happen. Again, if you have any specifics on deep down stuff, message me, message Jeremy, email, whatever you got to do to get in contact and say, hey, this would be great. Because I write, I write this stuff as I go. I don't just make it. I can talk about other things all day, but these are things that are actually happening right here and now. So, yeah, I could run for a while with this. So, any specifics, say so. Happy to do it.
Thanks again, everyone, for participating tonight. Matt, once again, thank you for your time, your experience. You're bringing a lot to the table. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get pilots to think about things that can prevent them from getting in a bad situation in the future. So again, Matt, I'm very thankful. I'm also very thankful for everybody who has continued to participate in this program. I'm very passionate about this Breaking the Chain program. This is, I think this is the 19th webinar/seminar that I've done since this began. I'm going to continue doing these bi-weekly. This webinar
Jeremy?
has been, yes?
Hey, Jeremy?
Yes.
Did you give out the top secret code yet?
Yes. I'll give that one moment. Thank you for reminding me of that, Jay. I'm glad because I told you guys to do that because I forgot before. In fact, let me go again. We're in July 1776. Send that to me in an email so I can get you allocated wings credit for tonight. Oh, and one really cool thing, I finally got it. So,
Yeah, let's hear that again.
1776. If the
Cool.
rest of you guys can go ahead, microphones now, that'd be great. I just got a few closing remarks. Anyway, go ahead and give Matt a subscribe to his YouTube channel. Give Taking Off a subscribe to their YouTube channel. give my channel a subscribe, All American Aviation. This webinar will be uploaded to that channel in the next week or so. I'll give you wings credit to those of you who send me your note with 1776 to flyallamerican@gmail.com. That'll probably happen sometime between now and Sunday.
Okay.
We've got guest speakers lined up all the way to Thanksgiving.
Sweet.
And Matt, I've already got a tentative date down for you, and I'll get with you offline about that, because we're going to have you back for sure.
Cool.
Join us next week, or not next week, but 2 weeks from tonight, August 11th at 7:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time for Mr. Mike Bush from Savvy Aviation as he presents on your post-maintenance checklist. Basically, he's going to talk about what an aircraft owner or pilot should look for after they get an aircraft out of annual or 100-hour or some sort of extensive maintenance. That being said, everybody, once again, thank you for your awesome loyalty, participation. If anybody would like to share, this meeting that we do to people and get people rallied up to come and participate, that'd be awesome. I'm really passionate about it. It's really exciting. One last thank you for everybody who participated tonight, and we'll talk to y'all later. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Major
you.
Walters, and I'm signing off now myself.
All right. Have a wonderful